Welcome to Yoga Biz Studio, a bi-weekly broadcast of 10 to 30 minutes in length, hosted by me, Keely Minstrel, the principal of Z Living, and my colleague,
Carla Wilson, owner of Wilson Media Services.
On each episode of our show, we share business, legal, and marketing insights for yoga studio owners and independent yoga teachers. We use Google Plus Hangouts on air to produce our show, so you can watch us via Google, YouTube, or our website, yogabizstudio.com. If you're watching our show on YouTube, please click the yellow graphic at the bottom of the viewer. This will allow you to access our event page to ask questions or comment on today's show. And we always welcome questions and comments. Today we are excited to have a special guest, Hunter Clarke-Fields. And before, Carla's going to introduce Hunter, but I quickly want to tell our viewers, I am doing this remotely. I am at a small business expo. So if there's any people come into the room unexpectedly, I'm not crazy. I'm just letting you know I'm on site networking and doing what we always tell you guys to do. So
Good girl.
With enough of that, Carla, why don't you introduce Hunter?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate the introduction. And I learned about Hunter through a mutual friend, Mary Fetterman at Philly Area Yoga. As you'll learn, Hunter Clarke-Fields does, in addition to her yoga business, have a podcast as well. She had interviewed our friend Mary on that podcast, and Mary subsequently said, Carla, you need to meet Hunter. Hunter, you need to meet Carla. So, of course, as I do, I stalk people online, and I was checking out Hunter's business, and I thought, you know, she's doing such a good job of marketing herself and her business, and I really thought it would be good to showcase her on our show. So we invited her on. So Hunter, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you,
Hunter.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Keely. I'm happy to be here.
Fabulous, fabulous. So what I would like to I will have Hunter get into her background and a few questions, have her answer a few questions I have, but I want to remind our viewers that at the top of the viewing screen, there's a little grid at the top. If you click it, you will be able to open up the Q&A panel if it's not already viewable for you, and you can enter questions live now during the show or even after the fact, and we'll be able to respond to you. Also, you will find displayed on the right side of the screen a couple of what we call our showcase URLs, and those are links to Hunter's website so that you can check out the information that that I was impressed with and that we want you to check out. So, Hunter, you know, as I said, I'm so impressed with your marketing efforts, and I do want to have you comment on those. But why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background and how you found yoga?
Sure, yeah. I discovered yoga when I was 17 years old. My mom took me to my first Ashtanga class at 17, and kind of like a typical yoga teacher, I'm naturally one of those bendy, flexy people. So it was like, woohoo, this is really fun, and I can do everything. And I'm also a painter, and so I was pursuing other things in my life, and I ended up teaching high school art for a while, and it was killing my soul, and I left and did a yoga teacher training for a month-long intensive, and since then I've really been integrating yoga into my life, and have been meditating since then, had a strong practice since then, so I've been really integrating yoga and mindfulness into my life really fully since then.
Excellent. Okay, so when would you say that after your teacher training, did you decide to move forward and start actually marketing, actually considering yourself a business and marketing yourself, and, you know, I guess start with how, I guess when you started your yoga business and how you started marketing yourself from the beginning?
Well, I've always been, since my teacher training, I've been teaching public classes, and I really enjoy that. And then around, I guess, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I started to get the feelings of, I have a 4-year-old now. She's going into kindergarten next year. So about 2 years ago, I started to get the feeling of like, I need to be making an income for my family. I want to be doing something I love. My painting is a labor of love, and it's not really making a viable income. My husband's doing a lot of work, and so I want to be creating an income. So I thought the yoga is a more viable place to go, and I had who was doing business online, doing coaching and things, and I traded some yoga Skype sessions with coaching for her, and I think one of the first things I started was the podcast, and because I had just started listening to podcasts. I was listening to podcasts like Smart Passive Income and all these different things, and I was like, oh, learning so much. I thought, I want to listen to a podcast about yoga that's not a yoga class, but that's just about yoga that I can listen to when I drive to my yoga classes. So I created the podcast first, Yoga Stories Project, and it's just a monthly podcast. And now it's interesting because it's kind of moved into kind of the side of my business. And now I have, and it's actually been cool because it's been sort of profitable right from my first program. I do online programs for busy mamas who don't have time to go to a yoga studio and who want a daily practice to just feel better, to live better, to feel more grounded, to feel more peaceful. And I also am moving into mindfulness coaching, and now I help clients, create mindfulness practices at home that help them, also go from, like, if they're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, to feeling more peaceful and grounded and just at ease in their lives. So it's really exciting stuff, actually, and fairly new.
Yeah. You're saying, just a year and a half, 2 years ago. I mean, you've accomplished a lot in that time. And you say that you started the podcast first. So let me ask you how you go about producing it. I happened to run into you at Namaste, that event that Keely and I have been promoting. We were both there, and I know that you had a handheld recorder, but what else were you using to produce your podcast, technically?
Yeah, well, actually, that's all I use is that little handheld recorder.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. Extremely useful piece of equipment.
Say what you wanted her to say.
It was like $99. But I'm blessed to have my husband on board on my team with this, and he's actually an electronic music producer, and he also did a lot of my website design. So he has a real ear for, like, sound quality and knowing what's the right thing to buy. So I said, what should I get? And he tells me, which is like, oh, thank goodness I have Bill. And also, Bill has helped me organize I have a PC, I don't have a Mac, which hopefully I'll be remedying soon. But so I put all this, I upload everything into a program called Reaper, which is a sound production software, I guess. Okay. It's interesting because I just got it from him, and I'm lucky enough that he makes electronic music, so so I can say, Bill, can I have a little ditty for the beginning of my podcast?
Beautiful.
He makes up something totally original for me, and so that song at the beginning of Yoga Stories Project is something he made for me, and I said, I need something upbeat, and he made it for me, so it worked out kind of nicely. So I just used the recorder and that's how the podcast gets made. I do all that. And then one thing I was telling you, Carla, is that we discovered Ophonic, which is this internet company. They're sort of government subsidized by Switzerland, I think, but you can upload your audio files to them, and they master them. They have algorithms to digitally master them, make the sound levels nice, etc. So that's like kind of a nice thing I use as well for the podcast.
Fantastic. Okay, these are two resources I haven't even heard of. So, folks, don't worry. I will get things from Hunter, and we will have those in the show notes for you. And, of course, I will need to check them out after the show. And also, I will need to make connection with your husband of clients I have that make music for their own podcast that I'm producing. So, great. I need to make a note of that.
This is wonderful because it's like, actually, this episode is all about putting to use what we say you're supposed to do. So even the networking that's going on the episode right in front of everyone, this is wonderful. And Hunter, you're like the poster child right now because you found a niche. You're showing that you can make a living. I hear so many times people are like, I can't make a living teaching yoga. And if you're creative and you create a niche for yourself, you can do it. And you're showing that it doesn't cost a lot. A $99 like recorder, you know, granted we all don't have like your husband, and so I might be calling him too. But you're just showing that it's not as complicated that many people want to make. You know, like you can get out there and start doing it and start being, you know, making an income and doing something you love. So you are our new poster child.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's interesting. I would say, like, it's a lot of hard work. Like, I've done a lot of hard work, but at the same time, really, the barrier to entry is so low that I had like almost no money to get dedicated to this business, and I was able to make it profitable right away. Like this room you see behind me, like this is where I shoot my yoga videos for my daily practice program, which is a 28-day yoga immersion that you know, that sells for $147. It's very inexpensive, low barrier to entry, and that's where, you know, the room is for this. It's also the same place I shoot my other yoga video, Yoga Mama Home Practice, which is just a standalone package. But, you know, it's just my living room. It's, you know, I was telling Carla, I have to scoop my cat out of the way sometimes, you know, it's just like, I did buy a lighting set. That helps a lot, but
okay. I guess that was gonna be my next question, because I guess I did know that you shot video from home. So are you using just the onboard camera on your computer, or do you have a separate one that you plug in, or do you have a completely separate recording rig for that?
I have a digital SLR camera, so a Canon Rebel camera, and I use that rather than any kind of digital video recorder because the quality of the image is so high, which is a problem in that my computer now is like, oh my god,
this is a really big file.
I have lots and lots of really big files now, but yeah, so it's a high quality of image, but it's interesting because, you know, at some point I'll upgrade my equipment. I can see that because, you know, what happens for me actually is really funny in my videos is that it only records like 17 minutes of video before it just shuts off. It shuts itself off because it's too much. So what I have to do, and I've actually, at first I had my husband helping me, like pressing the button on and off, and now I'm actually good enough that I can like pause in a down dog and then like get up from my mat, walk over to the camera, turn the camera on, turn the camera off, come back to down dog, and then splice that together later. And I don't even have nice like video editing software or anything. It actually is just like a really straight cut. There's no like fancy cut there, but because people are in the middle of yoga, no one's ever noticed it. I've done my own videos. I can't tell where I've cut them either. So it's really interesting.
Well, another good point. You know, again, you don't have video editing software. It probably does have the bells and whistles, but you really don't need all the bells and whistles for practice for that kind of edit. It's, you know, simply kind of just trimming that little part out. Like, just like you said, a very simple simple edit for you. So I think I heard you say that your husband set up the website for you. How soon into your business did he set that up for you?
Pretty soon, I guess. I felt like that was needed right away. And so I kind of had a first version. Right now we're on the second version of the website, which is much more WordPress integrated. And I'm not sure what to say about the website. For me, he built me this like artisanal HTML website, you know, which was great. Yeah. But it's also hard to sometimes hard to integrate, and sometimes when I need a VA to work on it, sometimes it's a little challenging because they're used to, like, say, a straight WordPress site, and mine is a little bit quirky in that way.
Yeah, but it sounds like, so is he converting your current to a WordPress site?
Yeah, it's kind of half and half at this point.
Got it. Yeah, I think you will find, well, you'll see what I mean. I'm a little bit biased because all of my websites are WordPress, including our Yoga Biz Studio site, and it makes editing very easy. It makes updating the tagging for search engine optimization much easier, and probably the virtual assistants that you work with too. Again, since it's WordPress, that WordPress platform is just so it's easy to work with. So I think you'll find that will make things a lot easier for you. So how did you, if you don't mind me asking, how did you get this type of marketing background? Did you take online classes? Did you go to an in-person class? What did you do to learn these marketing skills that you use?
That's interesting. At first, I did what my friend who was in sort of the online business world did. She said, I sponsored this website, so I sponsored that website, and it worked out nicely. And then last spring, it was I had just run my first version of the daily practice, which is that 28-day immersion. It was actually profitable, which I was kind of amazed. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to take that profit and invest it back into the business. So I enrolled in Marie Forleo's B School last spring. And so, so I learned a whole bunch of stuff about marketing and business there, and I'm really excited about that. I felt like it was a good way to invest my money into my business right at the right time at the beginning where I really needed it.
Yeah, big fan of Marie's work.
Yes,
love her. I can't tell you how many clients come to me and say, I want to have videos like Marie's. We all want to have videos like Marie's, don't we?
Yeah. That'd be nice.
It's true. But, I think that's one of the things about the teachers that we find. You really want to find somebody that you connect to and that are really down to earth, and the suggestions that they make about running your business make sense, and it's easy for you to integrate and implement as well. So awesome. Glad to hear. I have several colleagues in B School as well.
Yeah, it was interesting for me also, from a person who's new to this business, and to help me kind of meet all these different people. It was really interesting because they have forums and things like that, and so I was able to. One thing I didn't realize kind of in the beginning of starting this business was how important and how helpful it is to kind of make your online business BFFs. I made some good friends in online business, and that's one of the things actually that the podcast is really helpful for, as far as Yoga Stories Project, is that, it's interesting because I would almost do Yoga Stories Project if no one listened to it at all because I get to talk to these amazing, interesting people who I really I just find interesting, and I respect them, and I respect their work and whatever. And because I'm emailing them and saying, would you like to have an interview? They're like, if you send someone an email that says interview request, people are like, yeah, sure. And it's great. It's and then you get to meet and connect, and it's kind of been this awesome networking thing because I get to really connect with all these people. At Namaste, I went around, and now I'm putting at the end of the podcast, at the latest podcast, there's somebody's response to my question. I just stuck that microphone in their face. And I was like, so what does yoga mean to you? And I got these wonderful off-the-cuff responses. And so it was neat to, it's just a fun way to connect out there,
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because, I'm a little bit biased because I am a podcast producer. So where can people find your podcast other than at your website?
It's on iTunes, so they can find it at, just search for Yoga Stories Project on iTunes.com. And then if you listen, please give me a review. It'll pop up a little more in their algorithm.
Yes, exactly. We would love to do that. I'll have to make sure that I have that definitely in my application. It seems that we're having just a tiny bit of technical difficulty with Keely's remote connection. So bear with me one moment here. So I know that you're doing a lot of online teaching, Hunter, but are you teaching in person at studios as well? And if so, where can people find you?
Oh, yeah. I teach public classes, and I teach at Wednesday nights at Pure Yoga in Wilmington, Delaware. And I teach at Enso Yoga and Media on Monday nights. And I teach there on a few Saturdays. And I teach core strength vinyasa. And so it's interesting for yogis, I think, to come to, because it's really very different from your traditional style of asana. And I discovered it several years ago, and I discovered core strength vinyasa, and the very next morning I was teaching, and I felt like I had to change the way I was teaching, because I knew the way I was teaching before was like sort of creating shoulder and neck and lower back tension. And now I'm really sort of like an excited yoga teacher in that way.
We love those. We love those.
Yes, absolutely. Keely, do you have any questions for Hunter?
I'm like absorbing all of this, and I'm
I
like loving every minute of it, because she is saying so many things that we said before. So I absolutely love it. My question is, because I'm the legal person in the background, the part of the Yoga Biz Studio, did you do anything as far as structurally for your business, like whether it is forming a legal entity for your business? Have you done any of that?
I looked into that, and I'm not yet. I'm still a sole proprietor. I'm still kind of building up to that structure. That's been kind of a part of my journey this year, is trying to get myself more squared away with the money side of the business. Mm-hmm. The service side is very easy for me, and the money side is I'm working on that, being able to sort of accept that money and have those structures as well, and that organization part as well is a little bit more challenging for me. I will admit, probably this year will be the first time we'll ever use a tax accountant to do my taxes because of all the business stuff. So I'm trying to move away from do it yourself when it seems advisable.
Well, that's a good problem to have and everything, but I can always chat with you off camera about that side of it.
Okay, great. Thank you. That might be helpful.
And yes, as business owners, we completely understand I should DIY this part of my business because I'll save myself some money. But then you start to get into an area where like, I'm not quite sure how to handle this, so I think I need to have some experts on my team to help me out with this part. Especially the accounting side. As Keely knows, this is what I do when I say numbers. Yeah, the numbers part makes me nervous. So yes, I've had an accountant from day one in my business just to make sure everything's cool the way that it needs to be.
I have a family member I turn to. So.
Yes. Yes, we got a guy. So we either got a cousin or a guy or a girl or we
got someone.
That's it. Was there anything that you would like to share with our audience? Maybe tell us your favorite. Now this is completely off script, obviously, off the cuff. So do you have?
Carla's gone rogue. She's completely gone rogue.
Do you have a favorite yoga pose, and or do you have a favorite business resource that you would like to suggest for our viewers?
Wow, that's really interesting. Do I have a favorite yoga pose? Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a big fan of like the warrior poses. I love the strong stance, the empoweringness of that, and I really like flowing in and out, the sort of flowing aspect of that. And a favorite business resource. I mean, I think the best business resource really is like a blog or a podcast or any way you're really connecting with your audience, or like, for instance, MailChimp might be my favorite business resources because what I use the most. It's the way to keep track of people and to connect with them. Like when I make, I have client research calls, and I talk to my clients and my people once in a while, and And they tell me, I feel like I know you, and like I feel, and like, yeah, I look forward to your emails, and of course I'm talking to the people who are really excited to talk to me because they're the ones who sign up to do that. But it just is that whole idea of like really connecting with people, like any way you're really connecting with people on a regular basis, I think is like the best resource, really.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Keely, look at that. We didn't even ask her about email marketing.
I know.
And
we didn't bribe her. We swear. See, and this is why when I said we discussed what today's takeaway should be. And what did I say? I said, listen to what Hunter says. So I'm sticking with that. Like today's takeaway for our viewers is to really go back. You can replay this and absorb everything that Hunter has said, and really try and put some things into motion. It's simple. So, yeah, we didn't bribe her. This is all.
You guys are making me blush.
Well, again, I knew the second that I looked at your website, and then, again, for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl has a podcast. It's a yoga podcast. Two of my favorite things on earth. We need to have her on the show. So I am so glad that you were available. I know you are in the middle of offering a virtual retreat to a lot of your followers, so I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do that. And why don't you, I know that we have a couple of URLs posted for folks, but why don't you tell everybody how they can best reach out to you, whether it's your website or social media, or how you would prefer to have folks reach out to you?
Well, people can go to hunteryoga.com and they can do that. And there's also, you could tweet me at Hunter C Yoga. It's Hunter C Yoga. And then, I'm on Facebook too, and I always respond to messages when people, reach out and say hello. I love talking to people, and I talked to you guys on Facebook, so that was really good. And I think, and I'd be happy to do a giveaway for your audience too, if they'd like to have a giveaway of the Yoga Mama home video practice. I'd be happy to do that as well if that is something that can work into your
Absolutely.
We love giveaways.
We absolutely love giveaways. I guess, is it a link to it? It's a link that we could, is it a page on your site, or is it something
they can check it out. Well, I'd have to, maybe we can give it away to the people who comment on the show, and we can pick randomly someone to give it away to.
Awesome.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that sounds great. So, yes, everybody, track down Hunter at hunteryoga.com. Sign up for her newsletter. Make connection with her. Learn some things from her, as she taught us today. As I said, I'm taking some notes, and there's some things I'm going to be researching after the show. I'm so excited. So, all right. Hunter, again, thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Keely, why don't you tell us what's coming up?
All right, I will, and I want to say thank you to Hunter as well. And our viewers, you heard what she said. She will give a giveaway, so you have to come to our page, watch the show, and actually leave us a little note, or how about better, a question, because we always love to turn questions into an episode. So there we go. We got them doing something, so they earn that giveaway from Hunter. All right, so coming up on our December 4th show, we will be discussing why cross-marketing is a strategy for success. So we hope you tune in there. Also, please feel free to message us with your questions, your show ideas. You can always reach us via email at yogabizstudio@gmail.com. You can always swing over to our website at yogabizstudio.com. And, of course, you can find us on the social networks of Facebook and Twitter at Yoga Biz Studio.
Excellent. Thanks, Keely. And thank you again, Hunter, for being our special guest. We really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you. And thanks to our audience. We really appreciate it. Our Yoga Biz Studio is brought to you bi-weekly by me, Carla Wilson, owner of Wilson Media Services, and also by Keely Mitchell, principal at Z Living. Until our next episode, see you later. Namaste, everyone.
Bye. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.